The old asteroid is about to destroy the world story. There are plenty of takes on this trope, from the serious, to the bittersweet, to the outright silly, but in the hands of a good writer, it can still be an interesting story to experience. So how did Sliders handle it? Hello everyone, I'm Matt Mitrovich, the alternate historian, and welcome back to ReSliders, my retrospective of the 90s alternate history TV classic, Sliders. And today we are reviewing Last Days, where our heroes find themselves on a timeline experiencing the end of the world. We find the Sliders in a version of San Francisco where it appears the local sports team has just won the championship, but in reality things are much, much worse. While watching the news in a boarded up electronics store, they learn that a giant asteroid is about to collide with Earth in 2 days. Unfortunately for the Sliders, they won't be able to open another wormhole until 3 days from now, which means they will likely die on this Earth. Rembrandt doesn't take this well, but to be fair, who would in his position, and he leaves the group to go off on his own. Wade convinces Quinn they should try to find their families since they don't have long to live, but Arturo decides he's going to help any scientists working on stopping the asteroid. They all agree to meet back at the store, although it's questionable whether anyone will keep that promise. So we got 3 subplots that won't intersect again to the end of the episode. Let's begin with Rembrandt, who finds a local church and a reverend who tries to give him some words of comfort. He also suggests Rembrandt should spend his last days helping others. Rembrandt declines and instead joins a bunch of drunks heading to an end-of-the-world party. While there, Rembrandt cuts loose and even performs one last time, which seems to lift his spirits until the party takes a dark turn. He stumbles upon a game of Russian roulette and witnesses a husband trying to get his wife to pull the trigger on him, arguing nothing matters now that the world is going to end. It's actually quite a disturbing scene, and kudos to Cleveland Derricks and everyone else selling it with their acting. Anywho, Rembrandt convinces the wife to leave with him, and they return to the church where they pass out food to the needy. With the clock ticking down to the last few hours, Rembrandt takes his leave to spend his last moments with his friends as promised. Meanwhile, Quinn and Wade go to Quinn's home, which indeed was the home of his doppelganger, but it seems to have been abandoned. While there, they saw alternate Quinn was much more into dinosaurs than our Quinn, but more importantly, he was trying to build a time machine. Although our Quinn says time travel is impossible, he thinks he can use the equipment to build another device that will allow them to slide out of this timeline before the asteroid hits. Quinn works around the clock to build a new device, while Wade struggles to hold it together emotionally, what with the world coming to an end and all. When a test knocks out electricity, I guess it's a good thing people are still working to keep the power on, Quinn finally realizes that Wade needs him, and they decide to spend their last moments on Earth having a romantic dinner together. They talk over what is going to happen, and Wade takes solace in the fact that there are other Wades out there who will live, so that's good. Although that does open up the question, are our lives meaningless since there are a near infinite number of us in the multiverse? Perhaps this review isn't a place to have this philosophical discussion, but I do recommend checking out the short story All the Myriad Ways by Larry Niven if you want a more pessimistic take on what Wade said. Anywho, Wade and Quinn realize their feelings for each other and share a kiss that is rudely interrupted by Arturo, who has been extremely busy throughout the episode. He attends a press conference where a group of scientists make it clear there is nothing they can do to stop the asteroid from crashing into San Francisco and ending life on Earth. Even shooting a missile at it won't stop it because there is no explosive large enough to take out the rock. That's when the conference is interrupted by Conrad Benish Jr., a classmate of Quinn's who we have seen an alternate version of a few times now, who tells everyone they should try using the atomic bomb. The lead scientist dismisses the atomic bomb as a fantasy, and Benish is thrown out. So yeah, this is a timeline where the atomic bomb was never invented. Per Arturo's conversations with Alt Benish, we discovered that physicist Albert Einstein sabotaged a detonator for the original atom bomb, and then told the world there wasn't enough fissionable material to even create a working bomb. Except for World War II lasting until 1950, since the invasion of Japan took 5 years to complete, the world is still very similar to our own. Now, I'm not going to discuss what the world would be like if nuclear weapons were never invented, because hey, it turns out I already made that video, so please check it out when you can. I will, however, say that blaming Einstein is a tad unfair because except for writing a letter to American President Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1939 telling him about the atomic bomb, he wasn't involved in the Manhattan Project, which built the first nuclear bomb for America. So the point of divergence is rather weak. But what are you going to do? This is a television show for people with only limited historical knowledge, and everyone knows who Einstein is. As for whether a nuclear bomb could even destroy an asteroid, well, the answer to that is maybe. I asked Twitter about this, and from the brief research I was sent, it seems like a nuclear bomb could destroy a small asteroid. But as for the larger ones that are really a threat to life on Earth, there's a bigger risk the bomb would simply break it into smaller pieces, which would still be a threat to the planet. Additionally, we could instead use nuclear weapons, a kinetic impact, or a rocket-powered tug to knock the asteroid off course rather than destroy it. But nevertheless, nuking an asteroid is plausible enough that I'm not going to give Sliders too much crap about it. Back to the show. Arturo assures Benish they can fix a detonator on the original bomb, which Benish managed to get his hands on. Although the straight-laced Arturo clashes with the pothead, heavy metal music-playing Benish, they nevertheless fix the bomb. It's only when Benish suggests that no one will mess with America now that they have nuclear weapons that Arturo begins to regret letting this particular genie out of the bottle. Before rushing off to find Quinn to assist him with some calculations, he steals some schematics that show how to build a working nuclear weapon. Things move rather quickly after that. Somehow, Arturo and Benish are able to convince the scientists and government that they actually made an atom bomb. I don't know, maybe they were desperate for any kind of solution, and they took their chance on a long shot rather than do nothing and die anyway. Thus, the nuke is fired at the asteroid, and our heroes rush from the same electronics store where their story began as the asteroid is taken out. Humanity, on this timeline at least, is saved, and no one goes blind from staring directly at a nuclear blast. However, during the celebrations, the schematics fall out of Arturo's pocket and are discreetly picked up by Benish. So when the Sliders go to leave when the wormhole reopens the next day, Arturo, somehow managing to sneak away despite the government knowing he built a weapon of mass destruction, can't find the plans. Thus, he leaves this timeline knowing he may have only delayed this Earth's destruction. And that was Last Days, and honestly, I liked it. Seamus Kelly of Den of Geek calls it an essential episode, and I can see why he would say that. Although the alternate history is weak, the story itself has a strong emotional core. Even Rembrandt, who has been treated like a joke so far, is able to tell a serious story about why your actions, even at the very end, can still mean something. And that is a nice message. Plus, watching the characters choose how to spend their last moments of life really makes you wonder what you would do if put in the same position. So yeah, if you're going to watch any Sliders episodes, you should definitely check out Last Days. Well, that's what I have to say on the subject. If you enjoy what I do, please like, comment, subscribe, share this video, support me on Patreon. I'm Matt Mitrich, the Alternate Historian. Bye.